goes. It's Bob and John's Super Duper Variety Power Hour with your host, Bob Katie.
And John Picarillo. And 151.
And 151. WNBC. Welcome to episode 152 of Bob and John's Super Duper Variety Power Hour.
It's like 151, but one better.
Yes, exactly.
It's 151 plus Flat
Greg.
Or real Greg, I guess.
Well, we were going to say that don't the two of you together, something's going to happen cosmically or something?
Yeah, when we come together in the same place, it
Time,
rips.
space continuum.
Rips
I was-
time space.
I was making the what is it? Independent George and
yes.
and what do you call it?
They can't be
Big
together.
Relationship George
Relationship
and
George,
Independent
that's it,
George.
yeah. Two Georges in one place cannot
exist.
Annihilate each other.
Welcome aboard, folks.
Oh, there he goes.
Hey, well, we jump into things.
You're killing Independent George.
You're killing Independent George. Body George. I like that George.
Here we go.
Too.
Let's get this party started. Huh?
Well, here he goes.
Why do you want that beer so bad? Because he's thirsty.
Explosion! It's the angle of the dangle that happens. What happens?
That's distance on it.
It's
You
at
spewed
least
a
I didn't
little,
get
John.
you. I think I
Well,
got you last
you
week.
got-
Peter
I
North
think you
over
got me
here.
that time.
Oh, sorry. You're close. You're so close.
Right in the eye.
Right in the eye.
That's how you know it's good, is when it goes far.
That's
That was a good money shot, John.
That's right.
Boom.
That's right.
It's a good money shot. Oh, my screen went blank.
When you
So,
blink
there it
because you're
goes.
afraid you're going to get hit, that's good.
That's good.
I just looked up here and I realize those are your untapped scorecards, right?
Yeah.
But when I first looked up, I'm like, why does John have a bunch of zeros and ones written on paper? It looked like just a
No, those are the
John's a robot.
Oh, this is a fucking Matrix.
Those are lyrics. Those
Yeah.
are lyrics to a Rush song, aren't
Yeah.
they?
That's right. That's how I memorize
My
things.
uncle says you got a screw loose.
Your uncle molests collies.
You have no idea of the magnitude of this thing. If she is allowed to infiltrate this world, then George Costanza, as you know him, ceases to exist. You see, right now, I have relationship George, but there is also
believe you had it.
independent George. That's the George you know, the George you grew up with. Movie George, coffee shop George, liar George, party George.
I love that George.
Me too. Me too.
He's dying, Sherry.
George walks through this door, he will kill independent George. A George divided against itself cannot stand. You're killing independent George.
Oh, my muffins are ready.
Oh, my muffins are ready.
Fucking flat Greg.
See, when there's so many of you talking, I can go in here and get different ones.
Yeah.
He can hit a bunch of
Flat
them.
Greg's ruining me.
He's ruining it.
He's got so much energy.
Greg,
He
you're-
does.
You're starting to fade a little bit. I don't know what's going on here. I think the time space continuum is ripping right now. Or was that a fart you let?
There was something about trying to sleep with your mother.
Whoa!
Not your mother. That came out wrong.
All wrong.
There was no way that was coming out right.
I was going to say mine's ashes anyway,
Yeah.
so.
Don't say a fucking
that was
word to
a-
me. I'll get up and I'll bury this telephone in your head.
Fucking head. We just
thing just
finished
will not
up,
stand up,
wrapped
will it?
up band practice, by the way. Last one before the show.
We're a hard-working group.
This will come out before it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It'll be out tomorrow.
Yeah. So come to the show.
Saturday.
Yep.
Saturday.
At the
Clifton Park Spare Time Arena.
The City Sports Grill.
yeah.
I wish I was Beyonce.
151 summer.
This kicks off. This kicks off the summer agenda.
We're gonna kick this thing's ass.
Yeah.
yeah.
If tonight's
Got
practice has anything to say about
positive
it,
feelings about it.
We're on a roll.
I have warm feelings.
You motorboating son of a bitch. You old sailor. You old
Sailor, you.
Oh, it's been a while. That's
know.
like one of my favorites.
I know it's great.
One
I
of mine.
love
You shut your mouth when you're talking to me.
It's that one is one worth revisiting. I thought about it the other day because I told you I got
it. You old sailor, you.
There, just revisited it for you.
And I rarely watch things repeatedly, let alone just a second time. But it's got to be good. And Wedding Crashers is one. Definitely one.
And all those Gladiator movies.
Awesome. I love Gladiator.
Everyone.
Never seen a grown man naked?
Fantastic. I love that shit.
What is that from?
The airplane.
That's right. Yep.
He starts off with like, "Do you like Gladiator movies?"
Picked a terrible week to stop sniffing glue.
Have you ever been to a Turkish prison?
Hey, Peter, it's 7 o'clock and you've still got your pants on. What's the occasion?
And now that I've been to Italy and I've not only
in a Turkish
seen
bath?
Pompeii.
I am not gay, senor. You just make me do gay things.
I also went to Capua, which Spartacus is all. That arena is where Spartacus.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, it predated the Roman Colosseum. It was before that. So it's like total new kind of like, wow, that was awesome.
John has revisited the TV show Spartacus that was on Starz.
I heard it was great.
It was great.
Yeah.
It was great. The
But a
first
lot
time
of male
even
nudity.
better.
Yeah.
Too much male nudity for me, thank you.
You're right. There's a
lot of sausage going on.
That's what I heard. I never actually
Sausage
saw
fest.
it. I heard
there
it was
also a lot of general nudity.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
sex. And
There's a lot of
generals?
female nudity.
a lot.
But unfortunately, when you're balancing 50-50, it can be rough.
You know,
One sausage is too many.
look, maybe it's too early to go to the porn level here, but
Yeah, we already did that last time.
I like to keep schlongs out of my fantasy, but for that movie, for some reason, dudes walked around like that back then. That's just kind of was the way it was.
It was a period piece.
Yeah, they made statues with the full Monty. There was no, I think even David. They like the leaf was added later.
It was added.
Originally
Damn
it was
Puritans.
like
Squeeze right in
it was
here if
the
my
real-
thighs will let me.
Which reminds me of another funny, great story I just read today. There's a woman in New York City.
Bob, this isn't going to be a quick shot.
Was it supposed to be? I forgot. Anyway, she takes dick pics. Right, like she's a photographer, and she gets paid like $3,000 to take pictures, and they like dressed up the penis and take pictures and stuff. And the thing that got me, made me laugh my ass
something about that.
Made me laugh my ass off was like, I tried to do. She says I tried to do things like, the first one I did that was really successful was dictator. So they did like Saddam Hussein
next to a potato.
Yeah, that's funny shit right there.
There seems to have been a misunderstanding about what kind of boat guys we're going to be.
Okay, I'll settle down so
And
we
then
can
they
make
went to
this,
the Johnson Sausage Factory after that.
Apparently, girls, friends, and stuff, they like to get like 12 different characters and make like a calendar and have a little personal calendar of dick pics. Go figure.
I don't have one of those.
I know. Now I'm thinking about it. I'm
You
like,
mean the
maybe I need
calendar,
that.
right?
It's a great Christmas gift.
Maybe I need that. Okay, yeah, the whole.
Well, I think the only thing we can do after that is a good taco calendar too.
Well, I did think maybe I should get into the business of some sort.
The dick pic business?
No.
That's
The taco calendar.
Gay, senor. You just make me do gay things.
all you need is
Brush
a
shots
phone
tonight.
with a camera.
Brought shots tonight, doing the trifecta.
Oh, hey, listen, try this. I told my weed guy to step it up, and he gave me that. What is it? It's called Mind Rape. It's actually pretty mellow.
Doesn't sound very mellow.
Well, he only had 3 other batches. Gorilla Panic.
Gorilla Panic.
They're coming, and something called This Is Permanent. Oh, hey, listen, try this.
No, stop.
I told my weed guy to step
That's one got out of control. They're coming. And this is permanent.
This is permanent does not sound like a good idea.
Never a good idea.
Never a good idea. No.
That's how you get the Unabomber.
This is permanent. No, that wouldn't be good. Well, we should do this.
We should do this.
All right, you primitive screwheads, listen up.
Time to make the chimmy fucking chongas.
You can find us at bobandjohnspodcast@gmail.com, on buzzsprout.com and iTunes, or
Loose and Buttery on the Twitter and Instagram, or Facebook
Live.
Live.
And on our YouTube channel and our Facebook page at Bob and John Super Duper Variety Power Hour. And for all your 151 needs.
That's what I was going to say.
At 151online.com or on Facebook.com. 151 Online.
Or Saturday night at
City Sports Grill, Clifton Park.
And it's a long show. So if you got something going on, you can make it late. Like it's going to be
The
a
9
long
o'clock show.
It's not
9 to 1.
Yeah.
9 to 1.
We'll be playing a long time.
Yeah, we're going to bang out 3 nice long sets.
3 full sets.
Yeah.
Long sets.
Full sets. Very
but
long, girthy
if it's as
sets.
promising as it sounds, it'll be worth it.
Yeah, that could have been it. Could have been the soft mattress, or it could have been the midnight rape.
The midnight
or
rape.
the nude gay art show that took place in my room. One of those probably added to the lack of sleep.
You motorboat instead of
that is a great movie.
So many good drops.
yeah, the best.
She thinks Moby Dick is a venereal disease.
We have a stage 5 clinger. The only thing that comes from what is it from Baltimore is what do you call it? Oh, what did he say there when he hit him?
Oh, I don't remember.
Just like a sack lunch. Comes over. What are you doing? I hate you.
This is tough here. I'm still working.
Well,
Still working on your top 3?
Yeah.
Oh, I had to. Yeah, well, I'll get to that.
Well,
Your top
somebody
10, top
mentioned
3.
like top 3s are fun because you can just take 3 and you're done.
That's-
but
yeah.
it never
Yeah.
ends that way.
It's so hard.
Yeah, it's as soon as you think of
Oh,
3,
I
you're
had
like,
to shut
wait a
it
minute.
down. I had pretty quickly, too. It was getting way out of control.
See, my problem is I'm like with Chris there. I'm like, I got to be more obscure than this.
He'll take care of that for
I'm
us.
going to do Django Reinhardt.
I got this off the Opeth demo from.
there were I found
Ooh,
some
which track?
I found. Okay, well, I'll stop talking about it.
Yeah.
So
I'm going with Joe Smith off the first Gordon Lightfoot album.
He was really killing it.
That's what we call a sack lunch.
We already talked about the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald last time, didn't we?
Exactly. But we're going to do our top 3. What is it, Tom? I'll let you
Top
do it.
3 favorite guitar leads of any era. I didn't limit it
So brutal.
because I wanted to make it extra fucking brutal.
you did.
So brutal.
You did. You opened the doors or Pandora's box.
I
Right
just,
Yep, the
just real
monkey's out
quick.
of the bottle on that one.
I saw this. I was on that Cover Band Central again. I'm looking at videos, and somebody put up the here's our parody, the rectum of Ella Fitzgerald.
That's got to be the Brown Cuts neighbors.
Oh God, that was good.
That's off the Brown
That was
album.
so good. Too good.
Who's going first?
I think since Greg missed last time, I think he should start.
Oh, honoring
All right.
the yeah.
Well,
I'm just doing the
Honor
your,
be to you,
3.
sir.
1, 2, 3.
1,
All
2,
right.
3. Or 3, 2, 1.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
So, again, this is so 3 of your favorite guitar solos come on. It so literally blew my mind at first, and then I was like, I'm gonna have to listen to all this shit first, and then
that's my problem.
Yeah.
and then about an hour and a half in, I'm going, I got to
Too
rethink
much.
this. Yeah, I got to rethink this. I'm never going to get anywhere because I just kept adding stuff to. Oh, I should put that down. I should put that down. I should put that down. And then then I did a little like internet research, and then I'm like,
Oh, it's too crazy.
And then I was like, well, some of that's okay, and it's because it like 14 to 16-year-old Greg. What really drove
That's where I went. I'm like, yeah.
So that actually made it like super easy for me once I said that because I
Younger
got
you
into,
deciding?
Yeah, younger me deciding.
He went in
like,
the time machine with Flat Greg.
he just didn't have like the musical tastes that I have now.
Right,
so
right,
it was very
Your palate is opened
yes,
up now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Palates.
of course, there's number 3 was Dire Straits. Dire Straits, Sultans of Swing. So
Oh yeah.
that's
Nice.
a tasty little lead at the
Finger
end of
picking,
that
too.
song.
And it builds
He,
still.
Yeah.
he is doing the full finger picking on the end. It's and if you catch the right versions, there's an intro that goes with it too. That's just as good as that lead at the end. So yeah, so Sultans of Swing, the finger picking thing was always a favorite.
Yeah.
of mine.
Yeah.
And Dire Straits has always been a favorite. So number 2, Eruption. Van Halen.
How can you not?
Made my list.
Just kind of one of those first time I heard it blew my mind kind of things. And we used to like judge how good our friends' older brothers were at playing guitar,
Right.
how much of Eruption they could play.
Right.
You know, like
That was like the test.
Yeah.
Tommy's brother
Yes,
can play
it's-
like 3/4.
There's a guy down the street who can play the whole thing.
He's
Yeah.
a local god.
Yeah.
He's a guitar deity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody wants him in his band. Yeah.
That made my list because it was influential.
Yeah,
That's exactly
influential.
why,
yeah. And number 1 is Cliffs of Dover, Eric Johnson.
Ooh.
So
Oh, that's
I've always
fun.
been a big Eric Johnson fan right from that first.
Said
It was right then. It was
That's a smooth
Cliffs of
and
Dover
tasty
kind of
one, yeah.
opened him up to me, and that was like 1990 maybe.
1990, yeah.
Yeah.
And that was I never turned back. Still a huge Eric Johnson fan.
Nice.
Yeah, see,
Those are
it's
good
just
picks.
brutal. Yeah, it's brutal.
Yeah, that's it. It was hard.
You're welcome.
It got.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Tom.
Anytime.
You want to go next? You wanna
I
go
can
last?
go. I can go.
John's going next.
I could have. It could have gone on and on and on. I think I'm pretty sure.
Top 10, top 3 guitar solos.
I mean, as a drummer, I mean, maybe it clears up a little bit, but as a guitar player, it's like, who do you leave out? You only have 3 choices? Holy shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Holy fuck.
Yeah, 80 people on my honorable mention list.
Yeah. That's what I'm glad you said that because I have some that I'll skip until later. But you guys know how I feel about Highway Star.
Oh yeah.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
You know, so I think I went with that one because I longed for that song.
He
That,
longs.
That's like the first like true shredding I've ever heard.
It's like
What is he doing?
what is
Yeah.
I can't play that fast.
Mind blown.
so
when we get our residency in Las Vegas, we'll play that, John.
my first thought was I need my top 3 guitar guys in it, and I don't think that this Blackmore would fall
Richie
into
Blackmore.
that.
Oh God,
but
he's right in
The
that
song,
top 10 though.
man,
Yeah.
Jesus, that song. So I went with it because for a variety of reasons. Number 2, I had to make a choice between. I wanted. I wrote this wrong. I'm glad I didn't say that out loud. I had to
Cartoon
make a
porn you
decision
wrote.
with Jimmy Page between like Stairway to Heaven being like influential and
Stairway to Heaven, the lead in Stairway to Heaven is like you can sing it.
It's
which is
beautiful.
You know what I mean?
Which
It's
is
beautiful.
why
Yeah.
I kind
Especially
of
live.
changed gears and decided on Heartbreaker.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I
There's so many to pick from.
That was like the OG Eruption.
Yeah.
You know, like, whoa.
Yeah.
Eruption was like the second one I wrote down, but then there were so many things that just keep coming. And then once I hit some Randy Rhoads shit, I had to get him on my
Oh, Jesus, Randy Rhoads stuff. Oh.
So I'm
Again,
a big fan.
it compiles of, oh, shit.
I'm a big fan of Mr. Crowley, but I ended up taking Crazy Train because it's, I think, a little more maybe influential.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a great lead too.
That inspired like tons of kids to pick up a guitar.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's one of those ones where you can sing it.
Yeah. So that's what that's how I went. I wasn't going to spend an hour. I chunked out a time and like, you just got to pick.
Yeah, I mean, you can't complain about any of those. Fuck no.
Not bad for a drummer.
No, that's good.
No, absolutely.
Suck a fart out of her ass and hold it like a
Hold it like a bong hit.
The impossible task this really is the impossible task.
I'm a bastard.
The ones that stick with me, I could almost do what Greg did. Be like, what was the first ones that grabbed my attention?
Young Bob.
Yeah, but it's the same. It's almost the same as Old Bob. It's
Right.
the ones where I can sit there and almost sing.
You're not
the
that
solo.
old, Bob.
You know what I mean? Now, Bob, whatever you want to call it. It's like what can you can sing it,
Bob.
and my number 3 is going to be Dwayne Allman and Eric Clapton with Layla.
Oh, yeah, I thought about that. Yeah.
I mean,
A lot of Derek and the Dominant stuff was
yeah,
sticking in
I
my
mean-
head there too.
I was really going between that and Bell Bottom Blues. It was
Yeah, that was a nice one, too.
difficult. But Dwayne Allman and Clapton, especially in the end, where it's nothing spectacular, but it's just so fucking dripping with the slide stuff is so dripping with melody. It's like ridiculous. It's like just unbelievable. Again, you always feel like, who are you leaving out? Who are you leaving out? You know what I mean? So the next two are going to be obvious because I cannot not leave them out. I'm going with with Jimmy Page, but I'm going not Stairway. I was really thinking hard about.
It was on my list
because that's such a great solo. But I'm going to go with Since You've Been Loving Me.
Oh, it's nice.
Yeah. That the way he starts it off so quietly and it just fucking crushing before you even get to the first lyric. It's an amazing, fucking just amazing.
He's good.
He's good.
What's been cool about this so far is it's not all about like leads in the middle of songs and things like that.
Oh,
which is
yeah.
cool,
Yeah.
Because I mean, a lead can happen anywhere. It's just,
Exactly.
however you want to define it.
Exactly. And my number one is the live version of Kiss 100,000 Years. Ace is just Ace. I mean, you could just taste it. You can sing it. It's just so
I gotta
fucking.
go listen to that now.
I haven't listened to that song in forever. Yeah.
100,000 Years off of Alive. It's either just the studio version's amazing, but then they do like a whole. They tack on a whole nother part of it onto it live, and it's just oozing with stuff. It just Aces the way. One of the best things is
It's Aces.
the way he was able to play leads on Paul and Gene's stuff that they wrote. It's just, I mean,
It was magic.
Yeah, it was another voice.
Yeah.
It was just
like
another
you said,
whole voice.
it's like dripping with melody. It's just,
it's amazing. It's amazing shit. The one I had really trouble not putting in the list is with the Slash, I was just like, oh,
I know. I've got a couple there that I had to.
it was just like, Jesus Christ, where do I begin off of Appetite? You know what I mean? Where do you go?
Yep.
Hendrix too.
Where do we go now?
It was hard.
Oh no.
Where do we go?
And you've heard the story about how that came about. That part of the of the song, right? He didn't know what to add in there. And so he was just joking around. He's like, "Where do we go now?" Literally, he had nothing written for that part.
Here you go.
And it fits.
I'm going to give my my what do you call it?
2 cents.
Honorable mention, and that my honorable mention is it would be my number 4 would be Slash and Rocket Queen.
Oh, I love that song.
Great song.
Almost as
the fucking
that one in
the leads at the
Brownstone.
second
are
half of
actually
that.
probably my favorite Guns tunes.
Yeah,
The production on that song was like completely different than the rest of the album too.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was like a whole different thing. It's like almost like belonged on a different album.
yeah. Because it had a lot more. There was definitely some more subtle parts into it, and then it just opens up to this whole melodic ending that is just everything he's playing, everything Axl's singing is just the chords. It's just set up for like just oozing with melody.
November Rain is pretty decent.
I'm not a big fan of that one. Not a big fan of that one.
Made my list.
I knew you wouldn't.
And that's okay, John.
What, November Rain?
okay.
Yeah,
I like it. I'll be
little-
wrong. I listen. It's maybe it's just because I've heard
soft,
it too much.
extended, mainstream.
Yeah,
doesn't-
I've been numbed by it
Slightly
too much.
overplayed.
great
yeah.
song. Don't get me wrong. That is a great tune. It
Yeah.
really is like beautiful harmony. It's well produced.
Yeah.
It's
If I'm
good,
going to pick another one off of one of those albums that's not off of Appetite, Civil War would be one.
Oh,
I'd pick.
yeah.
Yeah, that's got
What's
some
so
really
civil
good
about war
anyway? Tom, you're up.
All right. I'm going to start with an honorable mention, which will be a Guns N' Roses song. And still one of my favorites is Estranged. Just something about the way he makes those notes sing is just phenomenal in that song. So
It's that Slash tone.
Yep, exactly. The Les Paul through the Marshall, the whole thing,
It's just his fingers.
Yes, it is.
His fingers, letting the notes hang and all that stuff. So
There's not
honorable
even an
mention
amp.
to you, Saul Hudson.
Hey.
Easy now.
Suck a fart out of her ass and hold it.
So I was the one that came up with this, and then
asshole.
And then of course I had to battle myself to come up with 3 that kind of stood the test of time for me, and are going to be completely different from the first 3. So that's kind of cool. But anyways, the I'm also going to take a left turn from the era of leaded gasoline into the modern era a little bit too. So number 3 for me was the Lead in Time by Pink Floyd.
There was definitely Pink Floyd on my radar for this. Absolutely.
Just
more
the way-
than one.
It was too much. It was just too much.
And then for some reason that one, and I have to put a caveat in here, $5 word. You got to listen to it in headphones. I mean, that whole album
get
in
the whole
general.
thing, yeah.
Anything Pink Floyd, you have to put on headphones.
But
They
that
were on
song
my
in
short
particular,
list,
just
too.
because you can hear like the panning of the guitar solo and the headphones and all that, it just makes it so much better.
Instantly, when I think of Lead with Pink Floyd, I'm going with One of These Days.
I love that song.
All the slide guitar and the steel pedal guitar and One of These
that
Days.
song.
Going panning in and out of the right and left side. One of these days, I'm going to cut you into little pieces.
Yes. Another one that we could do if we had some sort of key action. A little synth.
Well, we'll get Greg a keyboard.
Yeah, I know.
Now, what'll that asshole think
Your number.
We don't have room for a sixth person on the stage.
I own a Casio. If you guys want to
Oh, yeah.
drive,
Drive.
We've seen how successful that is.
Where are you at? You're at number 2, Tom?
For me, and now this one's kind of bringing it up into the quote modern era, although the song is probably at least 20 years old now. But Dave Navarro's lead in "Been Caught Stealing" by Jane's Addiction.
You've said that before.
Yeah.
I'd have
Something about
to review that
because
Since I was 5.
It's got that classic humbucker sound, and just a just a tone of that that solo alone just does it for me. But it's just so tasty and catchy, and it's not long, but it fills all those little things you need in a solo, all in a very short space. So that was number 2 for me. And number 1.
Your number 1.
And
who is number 2?
And I bet only maybe 1 or 2 persons here in this room right now will even have heard this song, but the lead in "Doesn't Remind Me" by Audio Slave.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I mean,
Morello.
Tom Morello is just such a
love Morello.
genius on guitar.
Yes.
But if you go back and listen to that song, and there's just like different facets to the lead, and every one of them has a little different sound. These like crunching pedals left and right and stuff like that. But the whole thing is just unbelievable, and the way it finishes is phenomenal.
I love Audio Slave because it was a better vehicle for Morello.
Yep.
It forced him to do some things that were a little more
Normal.
conventional with what, normally he was. Yeah. He's the modern day Adrian Belew.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
And he was forced to come up with some more commercial type, riffs and music.
Yeah.
And man, he shined when he did. It was
Yeah,
just ridiculous.
He was able to actually finally be melodic in his leads and things like that.
Well, you're kind of forced into it when you got Chris Cornell as,
Yeah,
your,
you got
as
somebody
a songwriter,
building-
singer.
Right.
Yeah,
you
he's
know?
building this whole product around him, and he's like, he's got to find ways to fill in those gaps with the guitar sounds and the leads and stuff like that. Like I was watching that thing that you guys liked on Facebook that I posted their debut on top of the Ed Sullivan Theater.
Mm-hmm.
I never knew, like the beginning to Cochise, Tom Morello is actually playing that thing that sounds like a helicopter. He's playing that on his guitar, and I'm going, how the fuck is he doing
He
that?
does all that
It's just,
crazy
like,
shit.
Unbelievable the sounds he gets out of his guitar. And he had like a guitar or two that had like all these like funky switches and stuff on it, and he had like built-in effects in his guitar, where he just like hit switches to make different sounds and stuff like that. It's just crazy. So that was my number 1. So listen to "Doesn't
Nice.
Remind Me" by Audio Slave, and just listen to that lead. Short, different segments of it, but it's just so tasty and just
I got
so
some listening
phenomenal.
to do tomorrow.
That's a beautiful
Yep.
song too.
Yep.
That's just a
Which is fun after these, is I usually get a couple things I'm like, I need to listen to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And here's the crazy thing: as much as I'm a bass player, I can actually play the that opening riff to that song on guitar. I taught myself. I just found the chord one day, and I'm like, I think I can figure this out, and I can actually play that song on guitar. And I've like played it and sang it acoustically.
Can you do the helicopter?
I can't do that. I can do a motorboat, but I
pull
can't do a
that.
Motorboating son of a bitch, you old sailor.
You motorboating son of a bitch, you old sailor. You.
Were they built for speed or built for fun?
Pardon my French, But you're an asshole.
Don't say a fucking word to me. I'll get up and I'll bury this telephone in
And
your
so, of course, now we're going to go into the land of obscurity.
Yeah, way the land of obscurity.
I'm interested to see where this
is
goes.
where I take notes.
I went like mainstream.
I was going to say, are we getting a master class? Or are we?
Yeah, I did like what you said. I was like, well, what like made me jizz my pants when I was a teenager?
Yeah.
That's good.
So
good way to
actually,
go.
the first one that came to mind was "Comfortably Numb."
Yeah, see, that was on my short list. That was.
We go with the Floyd, too, see?
Because I remember I probably heard it, but I never paid attention to it. And I was in high school and I was waiting in line at a pizza place, and it was like just as it started, and I had like this moment of zen. And I was like, "Oh, what is this?"
Bright light shined upon you.
Seriously. And then when he goes up high at the end, I was like crying. I'm like,
I don't even want this pizza anymore, man.
I'm emotional.
I don't want this pizza. I want a guitar.
he was. It's weird if you look at like a transcription of it. You're like, what's so great about that? But it's his tone.
It's all about
like,
the tone and the hanging
It's
notes and all that.
Yeah.
the way he used the whammy bar too. It's almost like a slide. Like it sounds like a slide sometimes. But you're
Clapton and Gilmore could like kill you with two notes.
Yeah.
Just murder you with two notes.
Yeah.
I did Comfortably Numb with some guys before, and the lead, the guy did this just beautiful lead for that song. He used one of those things though that does the I forget what the hell it's called, but you hold it and it
the
like
EBow.
makes EBow.
Oh,
And man, he killed it with that thing. But it just made me appreciate it that much more. Like, he just did that.
Oh yeah.
He just did that.
Yeah.
Like, and this guy blew me away with this thing, but it was doing. And you gotta give him credit, but it's doing 50% of the work that really goes into that solo. But,
He said
EBow.
he did like 6 takes, and Ezrin just comped them together, and I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
like wow,
Yes.
Nice production work too.
yeah.
I had a couple.
And if you want to hear some great solos, go check out our new album when we get there.
Yeah.
Also, some great
Both these
production
guys.
work.
My number 2, I went with "Fade to Black" by Metallica.
Oh, yeah.
It's weird because I think
Pop
Kurt
that
kind of
in the
sucks now, but like back
At the
then,
time, right?
that was like he was like my Ace Frehley. Like I was like, oh, this is so great,
Kirk.
and you could sing the whole thing, and it takes the song to a whole other level too. That one in the beginning is just beautiful, and then
Yeah, it's not the most technical thing you've ever heard of, but man,
It's so perfect for that song.
See, I think that's what separates Metallica from the other real heavy stuff. When you get like Slayer and stuff like that, Metallica riffs, again, you can fucking sing them, hum them.
It's melodic.
There's melody and just this
All over the
crashing,
place.
crashing. You
Yeah.
know, that's what. I'm not a huge Metallica fan at all, but I got all the fucking riffs in my head.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
The riffs are there.
Just a little. That's
You
why
know?
they're that much bigger than everyone else.
Exactly.
No, fireball. Oh,
yeah? In the wine
I
glass.
just want to try a little taste of that.
You were saying.
Yeah,
So
fill her
I
up.
my palate a little
I
bit.
thought you said maybe not on a work night, but
Yeah, what the fuck?
What makes you think he's going to work
That's good.
tomorrow?
I'm taking off Friday now anyway, so what the hell? A little slap and pickle.
All right. You got one more.
Yes, Chris.
I
has got one
struggled
more.
with the. I have 2
I
honorable
think you're
mentions.
going to like that.
Go for your honorable mentions.
Honorable
first.
mentions. First one is "Where Were You" by Jeff Beck. That's kind of scary.
Nice.
That's like it makes me cry too. And then,
Same thing, right? It's got that.
My other one was "Rock Around the Clock" by Bill Haley and the Comets.
Nice.
That's a bitchin' solo.
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
He's like ripping it up, man.
Yeah, that's unheard of at the
The
time.
original shredder.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Nice.
But my number 1, I went with "For the Love of God" by Steve Vai. Because that makes me jizz my pants and cry at the same time.
That's right up there with what's the surrender.
Tender Surrender.
Tender Surrender.
Yes.
Oh, he's fucking amazing.
Amazing.
I started my research with Vi, Satriani, Eric Johnson,
Stevie Ray, too. There was some
I was going,
Stevie Ray,
Stevie
yeah.
Ray. I was going
I
down.
stayed away from the more instrumental guys.
I tried to, and then I'm like,
it was tough.
oh, that
They
was
do
tough.
some amazing
was like-
shit, though.
You know what's great? You know one thing I find great about Steve Vai is it doesn't feel like you know how we know when we're playing a lead, we're getting ready for that lead.
You're building up
it
to it,
feels
yeah.
like we're building up to it. It feels like he's just sitting there waiting for it to walk right up to him.
Yep, he's like a puma ready to pound.
He's like so. It's like watching slow motion, and it's like he just knows every little fucking nuance, and looks so painlessly easy to him.
Yep.
It looks like it's just like it's like getting the paper and going up and taking a crap. It's like just such an easy.
He and the instrument
Here
are
it comes.
one.
There it is.
There it is. You know what I mean? And
Just slides right out.
he's
As
doing
regular as Tom.
Yeah, but he's not even waiting for a lead. He's doing whole
7
songs
a.m.
like
pre-fights.
that. It's like fucking.
Yeah,
just-
he's amazing. He is.
yeah,
amazing.
he's just got such. He's got such an ease and like elegance or grace about the way he plays.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I love Satriani too, and I love all the other guys, but Vi has that like grace where it's like a whole production thing for
Yeah,
him
it
where
is.
he's doing.
Yeah.
It's
I
amazing.
saw him like a year or two ago. He did the whole record, the whole Passion Warfare record, but the end of the first set was For the Love of God, and everybody was just standing up like, yeah. Apparently, he like fasted for like 3 or 4 days when he recorded that because he wanted to be like suffering.
You can really ooze it out.
Gotta
there.
suffer
Yeah.
for your
You
music.
can hear it. It's just, it's so good.
He's one of those guys where I'm just like, yeah, I'm never ever going to be able
No.
to touch what he does.
No.
But I just want to go pick up one fucking nugget. If I can pick up
Yeah.
one nugget that I could put into my playing, I feel like I won.
Exactly.
Watching him, you know what I
No,
mean?
absolutely.
You know, it's just like I'm never going to be that smooth.
But any
It's
of
like-
those little
it's-
nuggets.
just a nugget. Yeah, just grab one thing, one piece. You know, it's.
I've got a good one that probably nobody would think of. So on my honorable mentions, maybe even number 4, I was really toying with it, was Crazy Over You by Heart. Their intro
yeah.
to
Oh, that
Crazy
intro
Over
is
You
awesome.
is
Yeah.
I forget about it every time.
Yeah.
And then it really sneaks out. You're going, yeah, I'm like, what is this song? That's awesome. And then it goes, dun, 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 and you're like,
Yeah.
holy shit, this is Heart.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's badass.
One that I
On an
huge
acoustic
honorable mention that we play every time we play out is All Right Now.
Oh yeah,
That's a good one, too.
I mean, that's an amazing. That's probably one of my favorite things to listen to Chris play when we're playing, and it's great
Yeah.
because I don't have to do shit half the
yeah,
time.
and he nails it.
Yeah,
Just strike a couple of chords.
I
and
do
you're good,
enjoy
you know?
playing that song now.
Yeah.
In the beginning, it was a little stressful, but I enjoy.
Well, because
playing
of
that song now.
somebody else that was playing lead at the time. Yeah.
That dude is so chill when he just like, he's taking his time. He's like building up. It's so good.
Who's the guitar
So
player
good.
for free?
Paul Kossoff.
Yeah, that's right, Paul Kossoff.
He had awesome tone too. He had that big fat Les
yeah.
Paul. Like,
Nobody mentioned
creamy
Freebird.
sound.
I mean, is that? I mean,
That's
yeah,
awesome.
Freebird.
The live version, especially. I mean,
One
you
of
get,
my
like-
favorite ones to play, the lead for "Give Me 3 Steps."
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's such a embedded thing into that song.
Hotel California.
Yeah.
gotta be
oh
awesome.
my God, Joe Walsh.
That's so good.
Oh.
Too good.
so good.
Love, love me some Walsh. Yeah, love me some Walsh. Yeah,
Can't believe you did
Life
that.
in the Fast Lane.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
You
See,
know.
so guys, we survived my top 3.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
we could do this all night.
night.
All
Oh,
night,
yeah.
yeah.
All
Hey,
right,
like-
so here's what I'm going to go around right now. We'll start with Chris. What are you listening to now?
Right now, I've been listening to this like death metal band called Rivers of Nile
The
or
hell
something
is
like
that?
that.
That's my phone going
Bob's
off.
phone.
But it's like
Bob's
it's
been
like
up
death
in the
metal,
most
but
disruptive tonight.
it's like they got like jazz elements. They have like saxophone solos in it and shit.
What was their name?
Rivers of Nile or something. It's
Rivers of Nile.
Nihil or something, but they're really fucking good, man. Yeah. Big fan.
Nice.
What have you been listening to?
I've been listening to more Butch Walker again.
Nice.
So, yeah, kind of a mix of all that stuff from his bands. So, South Gang.
What's the other one?
It's Butch Walker and the Let's Go Out Tonight's, the Black Widows, the Marvelous 3.
Marvelous 3. That's what I.
and his solo stuff. It's weird because he ranges from the early days are like hair metal. That's where he made his mark. Then he moves into a very 90s, pop rock groove, and then slips right into, he's almost like Ryan Adams now,
Yeah.
right? It's
Wow.
So he's got like this huge prolific career, and there's so much good music in it. So and he's a fabulous guitar player, fabulous singers, and he attracts great talent. So much good music. It's like sitting down and listening to like Bonamassa and Beth Hart and that kind of stuff.
So you
it's
knew
so
where my
beautiful.
mind
yeah.
was.
Yeah.
I was going to say Bonamassa and the Beth Hart stuff, but most recently, I was a little impressed with recent Guns stuff, with Sober Guns.
Okay.
I
Live.
showed-
Live.
some of the live
Live,
stuff.
yeah.
But
From the
then
last tour.
I always get into a little deeper, and man,
You always end up-
Miles,
well, you always end up with Miles and the
man,
Slash and the Conspirators.
and the Conspirators are a fucking great band, man.
They're going to have an album out fall.
Yep, and they're
Yeah,
gonna
I got to
start
get back
touring
to listen to
again,
that
too.
again too.
Love me some Miles.
Because they do,
Still haven't listened to
obviously
his
they
album
do
yet.
they do
Oh,
a
really?
bunch
I
of
was gonna ask you
computers,
about that.
and
I keep
they
forgetting
knock
to
Guns
grab
out of the
into it.
park.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
He's Slash has with Miles and the other guys. He's got such a great.
Yeah.
That's such a great band.
They even anytime they cover any of the Velvet Revolver stuff, that's better too. It's just
yeah.
it's amazing what they can do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Anything,
amazing.
pretty much. I think. Give them anything.
What you got, Bob?
I've been listening to. I caught a. Those the making of the albums.
Yep.
With Deep Purple Machine Head.
Nice.
I've been all over that. I've been rediscovering Purple because sometimes it hooks. It's been taking a while to hook into me. You know what I mean? I'm starting to get deeper in a little bit. So
Deeper
Space
into
Truckin'.
Deep Purple.
yeah, Space Trucker. Yeah,
Deep.
That's still one of my all-time favorite albums. Is that friggin' Perfect Strangers album? Is just
yeah.
That's amazing.
I've been.
that thing is
great
gold.
album.
I watched that, and of
Gold
course
cherry.
you hear all the other albums, and then I'm just like, okay, I need to start somewhere. So I was like, I need to start there, and then start digging. You know what I mean? Into into a lot of this other stuff that obviously the Mach 2 is the
the shit.
yeah, that's where you got to start with Deep Purple. Period. End of story. And the other thing I've been listening to is actually I listened to Eddie Trunk's his top 20 Kiss songs. So it just brought me back. I started listening to Kiss albums, not just songs, like whole albums as entities. There you go.
Nice.
So the two that I was listening to today and yesterday was Hotter Than Hell and Rock and Roll Over.
Hotter than hell.
They both have such great songs on it, though. I mean, I was just like in it for listening to the songs as listening to the album as a total.
Yeah.
Like I
In its entirety,
completely
yeah.
missed that. Is missing listening to albums as a full entity.
You have to sometimes because
Yeah.
it's especially when you
Especially those
know
70s
there's
albums.
a lot of solid songs on there because when you listen to it as a whole, all those other songs you never listened to, you start suddenly go, oh yeah,
Like, this is
stuff
actually great.
Yeah,
Why
these
I
are
skipped
great
over it?
songs. Like you skip them because they weren't singles or
Yeah.
they weren't like your favorites when you bought the album. But you
Well,
listened to it
especially
as
with a lot of the
whole.
bands that we love from the 70s because they were album bands.
Yeah,
they were
yes.
like
Yeah.
you had to listen to that the whole aspect.
Yeah, and you're
of
only
it.
talking 10, 12 songs. Some of them 8, and
Yeah,
it's just like
it's not like
one of my
what it
favorite
became.
albums, Dressed to Kill by Kiss. I think it's only like 8 songs.
Yeah.
It's only like 27 minutes or the full album,
Mm.
but I love the album from one from the other.
Yeah.
But Tom,
Here's a little known fact, Naomi. You know why some of those albums were so short? It was because as you got into the inside of the vinyl album, the actual ability to record it degraded.
yeah,
Oh.
And that's why, they would only put so many songs on. They didn't want to get to that inner, circle of the album because
The speed
the
was
sound,
off
Yeah,
and
the
the
speed
sound
was
was
off. The
off
sound
and-
was off. Everything. But anyway,
Because of the placement on the
record.
record.
Yeah.
the vinyl could only hold so much.
Yeah. Well,
it's
I never
physics.
really
It's
never.
physics.
That's not something I have talked about before.
yeah, it's audio
that
physics.
is
Now he's gonna write it down.
I will. Yeah, I will. I'll go dive deep into that one.
That's what actually Springsteen ran into. What Springsteen ran into in the 70s was he was trying to cram so much that he was running out of levels sonically for instruments to be heard.
Yeah.
Literally, it would just be like it would. And when that happens, especially in the mixing process, it turns to mud. Yeah.
Yep. And then you can't clarify.
And that was a huge part of his problem. That's why he would go in and take literally 6 months to record one fucking song back in the 70s. And I don't mean like they came back in on weekends or during the week. They sat there until they finished every fucking day. Wow. And
well, the vinyl
brutal.
thing is curious to me because there's a small re-emergence of vinyl.
It's bigger than small now.
It's starting to compete with downloads now.
The equipment to do it is the huge challenge.
Actually, didn't they say that finally
for the first time since 2011.
Yeah, physical
CD
is
and vinyl outsold digital.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But also streaming has gotten went up a lot too.
Yeah,
streaming went up a whole
downloads
That's
of
what
files.
hurt digital downloads though. Yep. That's vinyl increased.
I'm not a big the streaming.
Vinyl
I like
increasing
to own it.
is amazing.
You know what I mean?
too.
I like to own it. And I want to listen to it. That's what irritates me sometimes. Is I start listening to, sometimes you're like, oh, listen to Pandora, Spotify, or whatever, because you just randomly want whatever it's going to hit you, but then it hits you something real good, and then you want more of it, and you're like, oh, well, I don't want this now, what you've just given me, you know what I mean?
Pandora's got, or not Pandora, Amazon's got a pretty decent library.
It's pretty good.
And if you're a Prime member, you can download
You get a lot
that
of it
stuff.
for free. Yeah.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. You can do that on your phone, and
It's on the Fire TV thing too.
Oh, yeah, that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I basically,
pay for Prime, you might as well use
every
I
aspect
downloaded
of it,
all of
Did you
the
say what you
Elvis
were listening to,
Costello.
Louie?
No, I haven't because I sent us off on another tangent as always.
Well, that's what this show is all
We went down the rabbit hole. There's the name.
That's your
Quick shot rabbit hole.
Yeah.
We're not doing too bad so far.
No. But anyway, I had pre-ordered and I finally got to download it the other week, and I hadn't had a chance to listen to it. It was the new Stone Temple Pilots album.
Oh,
I'm interested.
Oh, yeah,
in
just
that
that
out.
one song.
You know what? I got
That
to tell
sounds
you,
good.
what's interesting is that you'd think it's going to be all hard driving, straight ahead shit that's going to pound you in the face, but that's not the case. There's 2 or 3 kind of jazz swingy kind of songs on it that are really catchy.
Well, DeLeo's there.
The DeLeo's are big into the kind of jazzy kind of stuff. But I mean, what I did was I sat at home last Saturday night and poured myself a huge glass of port wine, put my headphones on, just kicked
masturbated.
back. No,
and after I was done,
I did
Put
that
my
before.
belt around my neck.
You come down in your best little boy suit and expect me not to get a raging cartilager?
I heard that it was pretty good for Michael Hutchins, but
That's how good it is. He died.
He died.
It was worth it.
Too good.
The ultimate orgasm. But anyway, I kicked back with that glass of wine and just sat back on my couch with the headphones on and listened to the whole album. And it's a really good, solid album. And I got to say, Jeff Goot, the new lead singer, he's got a great voice. He can emulate Scott Weiland when he needs to, but he also has his own voice in the songs
that's good,
too.
yeah.
How are the songs? That was...
I mean, I think the whole album, top to bottom, is great.
That's good.
I really do.
That's usually the shortcoming of most of these, replacement singers and
Yeah.
bands. The band still sounds great. The singer sounds great. The songs
aren't
just
good.
tend to be lacking.
Yeah.
Well, the
They
thing
lose
for me,
some chemistry and...
what I did too is I set it on shuffle, so it didn't just play in order. But then, whenever all the songs were played, it stopped. So I knew I was done. But so it kind of threw it in a random order, unlike whatever was on the album, as it's produced. And I got to say, I was impressed, and I thought everything sounded great. And just to be able to sit there, because I don't do that a lot anymore. I don't just sit there like Bob was saying, like with the Kiss albums. I don't sit there very often. And
It's harder when you get older.
Yeah, and sit back and listen to a whole album in its entirety. I don't do that anymore. I've got my thumb drive that's got probably 800 songs on it in my car when I'm driving to work if there's not something good on Sirius, and they just play randomly, and that's...
You get in your car and drive?
Yeah, I get drive.
Drive.
With your drive?
Yeah. Well, that's
thumb drive.
That's what I tend to do when I come down here and I'm getting ready for practice or podcast or something. I want to pick I've been doing that a lot this last year, picking an album.
Yep.
I want to do an album and listen to that album.
Yeah, every time I come down, you're listening to something completely different, so it's cool.
Yeah.
But I mean, the thing for me is
you've piqued my interest. I've got a couple albums I got to listen to.
but that's what I do is like I just dump it on my thumb drive, put it in the car, and then it just the songs randomly come up as I listen through the whole thing on shuffle. And that to me is a better way to absorb it now. But this is the first time I've done that in a long time where I've actually sat back and listened to an album from song 1 to song whatever. In its entirety, and just like mellowed out, sitting there with a glass.
Can
of
you
wine.
even compare it to any past STP stuff?
You know what? I mean, there was always those slow kind of laid back songs on all their albums, pretty much. And this one's got a little bit more of that than I expected, but it was not, a letdown in any sense.
Well, there's two type of albums.
matter.
There's ones that you're just like, oh, like you know what I mean. Like when we got into Winery Dogs, we were like, whew, with that first album.
Yeah.
And then there's ones where you like, I've done those albums where I'm like, I got to re-listen to that again. I was lukewarm. And then you listen to it, and like maybe like almost like the third or fourth time, you're like, oh, this is good. You know what I mean?
I
You get
think they
hooked
did
in.
this on purpose too, because you think about this: if they just come out guns blazing with this new singer and they go out on tour, they might blow their load, and then when they go back in the studio for the next album, what are they going to do? They need time. Yeah, they need time to build this thing back up to what it used to be.
Right.
And this way, he gets to perform the old catalog with the new songs and all that, and then they can kind of
they have to create a catalog with this guy.
But they had been moving towards this music anyways. I mean, I know there were albums after it, but Tiny Music, songs from Vatican Gift Shop, they had a lot of slower songs. It had some cool upbeat songs. They weren't like slapping in the face
Lady
rock and
Picture
roll
Show.
though either. They were
My
bouncy,
Art School Girlfriend.
And then when they got into what was it, 4, and I forget what one was after that. Those had a lot of slow songs.
Yeah, 4 has a lot of slinky kind of.
Yep.
Like Weiland, like that
Weiland-esque
slinky type
songs,
of thing.
yes.
So you can slither around a little
Yeah.
bit. And the thing is,
go ahead.
And the thing is like that song was, I think, the third single they released, "The Art of Letting Go."
Mm-hmm.
That's a really cool song, and it's kind of like probably metaphorical in a way too. They're letting go of their past and saying, we're moving forward, we're in the here and now, and this is what we're going to be from here on out. And that's I think that was done on purpose and written that way, because of this. So kind of cool.
To go back to our top 3 leads, nobody brought up probably somebody who's got 1,000 of them, and that's Thin Lizzy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I was just listening to some Thin Lizzy. I had some Hair Nation on and was like, oh yeah, Thin Lizzy.
There's a lot going on there. Okay, John, let's do this one more time.
All right, you primitive screwheads, listen up.
Time to make the chimney
sleeping in
fucking
bed.
chongas.
You can find us at Bob and John's podcast at gmail.com, on buzzsprout.com, and iTunes, or
At Loose and Buttery on the Twitter and Instagram, or
Facebook Live,
or on our YouTube or Facebook
YouTube channel or Facebook page at Bob and John's Super Duper Variety Power Hour,
And
or
for all your 151 needs
at 151online.com or on facebook.com 151online.
or this Saturday night at
City Sports Grill in Clifton Park at the Spare Time Arena. Saturday. 9 to 1.
White trash name. Guess.
Mandy.
Mandy.
Marilyn.
Nope.
Brittany.
Nope.
Tiffany.
Nope.
Candace.
Nope.
Don't fuck with me on this. I know this shit.
Do you see me fucking with you? I'm not.
All right, speed round. I'm going to rattle off some names, and when I hit
You
it,
do
fucking
it.
buzz it, okay?
I will tell you.
got me?
Yeah.
All right, Brandy, Heather, Channing, Brianna, Amber, Sabrina, Melody, Dakota, Sierra, Bambi, Crystal, Samantha, Autumn, Ruby, Taylor, Tara, Tammy, Lauren, Charlene, Chantel, Courtney, Misty, Jenny, Krista, Mindy, Noelle, Shelby, Trina, Reba, Cassandra, Nikki, Kelsey, Shauna, Jolene, Erling, Claudine, Savannah, Casey, Dolly, Kendra, Kylie, Chloe, Devin, Emily, fucking Becky?
Nope.
Was it any one of those names with a Lynn after it?
Yes.
Oh, I got you, motherfucker. I got you. Okay. Brandy Lynn, Heather Lynn,
Tammy Lynn. Fuck!
I wonder how long it took him to shoot that scene.
Yeah, right?
Amazing.
And pretty much in one breath too. So.
Oh,
Fantastic.
I left out one. We
preemptive.
went Dixie Dregs. I listened to a crap load of Dixie Dregs because we went and saw them the other
You guys
night.
saw them last
How was the
Yeah.
show? You guys didn't tell us.
How was your
Calculus.
date? Yeah.
It was like, what? You can't play that good.
No, that's not how this works. After you've been apart for 2 decades.
Yeah. Like, what?
The violin. So I looked this up, right?
what?
The violin player, because we were like, yeah. So these guys just were not doing anything, right? And then just came back together and they do this. Like that's how that works. Let's pick the most complicated thing you've ever tried to do, and then we were like, and then you and me'll do it together.
Yeah.
And then about halfway through, I'm going to switch and I'm going to do it with him too.
Yeah.
And then when I'm done with that, you guys do it. and it just kept
crazy.
circling like this. So the violin player has, for 2 decades, he's been gone. He is an anesthesiologist. He
looks like an anesthesiologist.
He actually said he
Did he wear
had to
scrubs to the gig?
If
He
I
had to
wanted
take time off
if I
from
wanted
his
to
job to
study
come
really
do it.
hard, that would have been a great job.
Dude, he's like a virtuoso player.
Yeah.
But he's a fucking doctor.
So the drummer,
So money's pouring in.
the drummer is his regular Steve Morris band drummer.
Yeah.
He can
So
buy
I didn't
really good
realize
violins
that.
now too.
yeah.
The bass player isn't really doing anything.
crazy.
He's sat in with some people doing like studio recording stuff, so he obviously plays, but he's not actively doing anything.
Crazy.
And those guys killed
They
it.
sounded like they've been playing for the whole time, like 40
Yes.
years or whatever.
They stop in the middle and they're like, Steve Morris goes, so I know this is kind of cliche, but we're going to do this piece of chamber music.
Yeah.
And they sit and do a whole piece, like, and they just like keep at, like he starts and then the violin player starts with him and the bass player comes in and the keyboards and the drum. They're like coming in one at a time and shit. It's just like
too much.
phenomenal.
And who's Steve Morris playing with other than that? Deep Purple.
Deep Purple.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's his full-time gig now.
Yeah, he's been in long. Yeah, I think he's just as long
He's
as
basic-
Blackmore
he's
was.
basically the full-time player for Deep Purple.
All right, boys.
That's all, folks.
Say goodnight, boys.
Good night.
Good
Hey,
night,
boys.
Stadler?
Yeah, what?
Is that it?
Yes, it's over. How'd you like it?
I don't know. I slept through the whole thing.
Well, you didn't miss much.
He would have an enormous Schwanzstücke.
He's going to be very popular.
Don't say a fucking word to me. I'll get up and I'll bury this telephone in your head.